honest with you, Steve, I'm not acquainted to the ice hockey as Phil and that, so I'm a bit edgy with the rules and all that. But I just wanted to know, how did you get into the purchase of Cardiff Devils? How you got involved in it?
Yeah, I've known Todd Kelman. So I live in a community here that same one that Todd grew up in, and so Todd's sister is one of our best friends, and in fact lives right across the street from us. So I've known Todd since he was a young guy. We were both young guys, and when he was with the Belfast Giants, he was able to organize an exhibition match against the Boston Bruins for the Giants in Belfast. The Bruins were on their way to a game in the Czech Republic, I believe, to start an NHL season. It's probably somewhere between 10 and 15 years ago. And so Todd called us all up, all of his friends that he knew that loved hockey and maybe had enough money to travel to the UK to see a game. And it just sounded like a fun thing to do. So me and two other guys, one of them was Brian Parker, who's in the group of owners with the Devils. And so we flew to Ireland and played some golf and watched the exhibition match and just fell in love with the whole scene. I couldn't believe, you come from Canada and you think, hockey's like football in the UK, where it's part of who you are as you grow up. And I couldn't believe the passion of the fans in the UK towards hockey. Obviously, it's a small sport in the UK, but the fans that go to the games, they are so passionate. They've dedicated their life to it. It seems so. It just seemed like something I wanted to get involved with because I love the sport and I love sports in general. I'm a sports junkie. So a few years later, Todd was back home here, and we were having a few pints on my back deck right here, and most of my best ideas are over a few pints. And Todd's a really good marketer, and he also is really good at organizing teams and making sure that everybody is treated well and everything is put in place to allow a team to win. And I said to him, you should be more than an employee. You should be an owner. So let's find a team, and I'll back you and cut you in for a good chunk of the equity if you agree to run it, and let's have some fun. So that's kind of how it all started.
And then what made you pick Cardiff? Because there's a lot of teams that you could have picked, not as many as in America and Canada, obviously, but there was more than just the Devils you could have picked at the time.
Yeah, there were a few options for us, but Cardiff had kind of a great combination of fan base. It's one of the older, kind of more kind of established fan bases in the league. The city itself, it's always ranked as one of the top places to live in the UK. Higher standard of living than maybe a place like Belfast. And then the new arena that was just starting to be built at the time. So everything kind of lined up.
When you first got involved, was it the Blue Tent, or was that before? Before you guys got involved?
No. We our first couple of years were in the BBT, which it was a bit of a shocker. I have to say, coming from Calgary here, we would have a couple of dozen arenas that would be, better than the BBT, obviously. And so going over there and saying, okay, a professional team plays here, that was a little odd. But it didn't take more than an hour to fall in love with the place, and it was our home, and the fans loved it, and it gave us a huge advantage as a team to play out of a little place like that, because the fans were right on top of the players, and the ice surface itself was smaller than usual, and so it was, anytime you have a unique circumstance and the way you play, it usually favors the home team. So I did love the BBT, and I miss it, but I like ice arena Wales a lot better.
I was going to say, I mean, the Viola's lovely, isn't it? It's a really, really nice building, great place for hockey.
It really is. No, it's a great facility, and really for our league, we'd like probably maybe another 1,000 seats in it. But I love the fact that it's sold out or almost sold out for every single game. I think some of the other arenas in the league are a little too big, and you don't get that atmosphere, and you don't get that buzz around the city that it's a hard ticket to get. So I'd much rather have it sold out than be a tough ticket.
I've said the sentence or started sentences with the reason I've got to love hockey so many times today, but one of the things I loved about when you guys came over back in January was, especially when you compare it to football, you see owners of football clubs like Abramovich at Chelsea sitting in a box hidden away at the top of the stadium, and then you guys came over back in January and you were in Block 13 with the flags and the drums and starting all the chants, as if you're the biggest fans of the club. And I just think that's a lovely thing about the sport over here.
Well, and it's because we are the biggest fans of the club. That's all I am as a fan. Todd runs the team, and Lordo runs the on-ice product, and we just get to be fans, and we get to be the owners that we all thought owners should be when we're fans of our home clubs here in Canada. So why wouldn't you? And that's something we've done right from the start. I remember the very first year, 2014, we came over for the Challenge Cup finals in Sheffield, and they came to us with the instructions on which box to sit in, and we're up there, and we're four regular guys, so all the owners are in their suits, and we're in our Devils jerseys, and we brought over these kind of fake hockey helmets that Budweiser made here in Canada, that whenever your team scored a goal, the red light at the top of the helmet would turn on. We're wearing these, and so we spent the first, I think, 3 minutes in the box, and we just looked over at Todd and said, look, this just isn't us. We're having no fun here. The fun's down there where all of our fans are, so we got out of there and got into where the fans were. It was it's been the same ever since. A bunch of the fans, they email me directly, and I've gotten to know a lot of them personally now, because go over there 2 or 3 times a year, and it's been great.
You took the bus up to that game, didn't you, with the fans?
Yeah, it was a tough one. We being an owner of an out of the country team is not for the faint of heart. Like we go pretty hard when we go there, and they're usually just 3-day trips. So to have a 9-hour flight, which typically gets us in at about 10 in the morning UK time, so you've kind of missed a whole night of sleep, and then you just go, and everybody wants to have a pint, and it's tough sledding, but yeah, we recovered enough to have some fun on that bus.
Absolutely love that. That's brilliant.
This season, obviously, was cut short. I imagine you were quite disappointed because it looked destined for a league title. Obviously, we don't know what would have happened, but the decision was taken by the league. How did you feel when that was announced?
I was shocked, to be honest. I thought it was a very easy decision from a whole bunch of different viewpoints to award the title, which now we're seeing other leagues now do that have officially canceled. And the reason that the league had at the time was, you never know what would happen in the handful of games that were canceled. But the point is they were canceled. So you don't need to speculate. The season ended. That's it. Who was in first place when the season ended? It was very clear. So that argument doesn't hold water as far as I'm concerned. And then the other thing they said was that other leagues weren't doing it. Well, I think that's a dubious way of making your decision, is to just see what other people are doing, especially when most other sports leagues in the UK didn't actually cancel the rest of the season. They just postponed it, and were hoping to do it later. That's why they didn't award a champion. And the several that have now canceled canceled, did award their championship. And we're a league, unlike most in hockey, that awards the title based on regular season standings, not on a playoffs. And when you've played more than 450 regular season games, there was only a handful left. It seems to be a very tough judgment, but at the end of the day, we move on. I think, as I've said to our players and our staff, we know, we know what happened. We know that we were in first, and that's 3 firsts and a tie for first in the last 4 years. That's pretty damn good.
Absolutely. Well, you just have to go and do it and prove it again next season.
We have no problem doing that. The rest of the league knows what happened, so it doesn't matter what, as I said, it doesn't matter what the guys in suits say.
You, if the season had have ended when it would, you would have picked Sheffield to the title. I remember when you were over and you were doing a sort of a fan Q&A with the fans earlier in the season. I think it would be fair to say that you are fairly spoken about how much you like the rivalry with Sheffield.
I do, yeah. No, it's. I love the fact that when we came in 6 years ago, they were the boss. They ruled the league and have the biggest budget and to have that air of superiority that they love to hold over the rest of the league, and I love it. That's that's the group you want to be, and so I think it's great for the league, and it just does me so much good when we beat them.
And you watch. I mean, you watch as much of it as you can. Obviously, it's a different time zone, but I guess it works in your favour because we're ahead. That you get to see them sort of early afternoon time for you.
It's brilliant. Yeah, it starts at noon here for a 7 o'clock game. So you get up and you do whatever you need to do in the morning, and get 12 o'clock start. And we watch pretty much every game.
And then go to the Flames, is it?
And if there's a Flames game at 6 or 7 our time, then that's a heck of a day.
Hockey-tastic. How have you? I mean, you've been over a handful of times each season. Have you seen a change in the league over that period?
It's been massive, like absolutely massive, and that's still something that we're combating. Actually, when we recruit players, they still think that the EIHL is like it was 10 years ago, where someone could come in. You look at Paul Bissonnette, longtime NHLer. He came over when the NHL was in lockout and absolutely dominated. And I can guarantee you he would not dominate in this league. Yeah. And so a lot of people still see that, a kind of a fourth line tough guy in the NHL going over and scoring 2 points a game. No, it's a completely different league where we see in the Champions Hockey League every year how we do. Like we won home and away against one of the best teams from the Austrian League last year. That's never been done before, and I truly believe that the top of our league would be very competitive in many of the top leagues in Europe.
How big is the step up then from there to the NHL? Obviously, it's a bit. Obviously the NHL is the biggest league in the world and most profitable. How big? Let's take the best players for the Devils. The likes of Joey Martin. How big is the step up from a player like that to a player who would play for the Flames?
Yeah, it's a big step up, but it's interesting. I watch a ridiculous amount of hockey between my sons and the NHL and the EIHL. So it's interesting when you see it's the same in every sport where you see someone in a minor professional league versus the very top league.
Yeah.
There's typically one or two things for each player that you can identify that's kept them out of the top league. So whether it's size, whether it's speed, hockey sense, there's just typically one thing that's missing in each player. But on very fine lines, like a guy like Joey Martin, like you could argue like that, he should he should have had a shot at the NHL. He's not the biggest guy, but he's a good skater. His hockey sense is very high end. But there's a lot of good hockey players out there, and it's tough. It really comes down to just finding the right opportunity at the right time and getting lucky for that kind of a player.
Obviously, our other guest this week was the other Joey Haddad. How big is he? How great has he been? I mean, it goes without saying that he's been phenomenal for the club, but he seems to get better each year.
Yeah, Joey had a really tough year the year before, where he had a hip injury that was really difficult to heal, and missed most of the end of the season, and a big reason why Belfast was able to tie us at the end was Joey being out for that whole time. But he worked really hard over the off season and during the season on a new kind of health and fitness program that he developed, and the results were amazing. And with any athlete, you just get that confidence, and it just feeds on itself. And you could see how confident Joey was the entire season. It was phenomenal. But Joey's about more than just on ice as well. Him and his wife Kirsten are really, they're real kind of linchpins of the kind of the family culture that we wanted to develop with the Devils, and they just couldn't be better, in the community and with the other teams and their significant others as well. It's been phenomenal to have both Joeys here with us for all 6 years.
The club's been very lucky. It's fair to say that. Other than the club, obviously you visited a few times. What have you loved about the city of Cardiff? You said it's a lovely place when you were looking at the club. What have you found to come to love in your time, or short time, when you've been over?
Yeah, I really do love spending time in the city center. I love cities that have kind of more of a pedestrian city center, and not just cars going all over the place. To be able to just walk around and go from shop to shop or pub to pub, whatever you're doing. I think it's great, and so yeah. But for me, it's more about the people, and we've gotten to know so many people over there now that kind of have an endless supply of people to go out and have a bite with now. So it's been great.
I was just say, I don't think you're going to be short of people who would happily go and buy you a pint if you ever came over to the Viola. I think there would be a queue at the bar waiting to do it. Well, have you set a plan? I mean, obviously there's no date yet, but have you got a plan for coming over next season?
For sure. Actually, Wednesday of the week coming here, we've got the CHL draw to see what other team we play. So that typically triggers our fall vacation around that CHL draw. So that's been really fun to go meet the fans in some other place that maybe you wouldn't have gone to otherwise. We've gone to some really amazing places, Salzburg and Bern and a little town in Sweden called Vakwa, and like places you'd never go to otherwise. And so I'm excited for Wednesday. We've got a little Zoom watch party with all the owners and Todd and Lordo on Wednesday to see who we draw, and so we'll come to that, and there will be another time or two for sure that we'll go to Cardiff. And I really, it's interesting, with the COVID-19, Canada, and especially Western Canada where I live, is essentially over it. I think in all of Alberta, which is where Calgary is, we had 13 cases yesterday. We've got basically anywhere west of Toronto doesn't have the virus anymore, which is really great. So I think we're in a different mindset here now than maybe you are still there, and we're kind of at the point where let's get going here. When you're still in the weeds, it's tough to see how there could be sports being played, but give it another month, and you'll be surprised. People have needs. The mental welfare of society is an important part part too, and sports is a big part of that. So obviously we can't put our fans and our players in harm's way if there's still a significant risk in October. But I am kind of hopeful that that the UK will be in a place where that'll be possible, and maybe there will be some advancements in some drugs that will make people feel a lot more comfortable about being in social settings.
I think you speak for ice hockey fans and sports fans alike, especially over here, when you say that. I think it would be great to get back watching live sport, but obviously safety is the most important thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic. Steve, thank you very much for chatting with us. Appreciate you taking time out of your day.
Very much, Steve.
When you're over next, you'll have to drop me a line, let us know, and we'll come and get you that pint at the Viola.
Yeah, definitely.
That sounds good. I'm getting thirsty.
Yeah, first one's on us. Amazing. Thank you very much.